We just got our first look at iOS 27 and the new Siri. Why the new 26.6 update that came out this week is pretty interesting. More trouble for the iPhone Fold and its production issues. What the Apple Car would have been. A crazy AirTag story. And more. All in today's episode of Apple Weekly. Okay, so let's start by talking about the major iOS 27 leak. The biggest iOS 27 leak we've seen yet. And this comes courtesy of Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who's actually seen the software and has had some recreation, some screenshots that have been recreated to basically imitate what he's seen. So expect design changes. Apple's going to look better, of course, but these are kind of some ideas of what to expect with iOS 27. And this is pretty interesting because it starts by showing the all new design for Siri. So it's no longer going to be that glow around the entire screen. It's going to be a small animated bubble that pops out from the dynamic island. And here's something very interesting. You'll also be able to swipe down from the top center of the screen to launch this search or ask interface where you can search apps or ask a question that will answer with personal context and on-screen awareness. This also changes how you pull down the notification center because before you could just basically swipe down from the top anywhere, but now it has to be in the top left to pull down to see your notifications because of this new interface. And Gurman says this menu also shows the same interface in the current iOS that displays Siri suggestions. From there, users can launch apps, start text messages, ask about the weather, add calendar appointments, search through notes, trigger shortcuts within apps, or search the web using Apple's new AI-powered search system, which competes with tools like Perplexity. Results are displayed in a rich text card that pops out of the dynamic island. Users can swipe down further to open a chatbot-style conversation inside the Siri app. And that leads us right to the next big change, and that is the dedicated Siri app. We've heard about this for quite some time, and now we have our first look at what that might look like. So this is very similar to ChatGPT, and you could have a back and forth conversation with Siri via text, or you can enter a voice mode. And there's also a page that shows previous conversations that you can kind of pick back up on. And he says this: when users ask for information, Siri presents rich text cards and results for topics such as people, places, and news headlines. Similar cards also appear for weather forecasts and sports scores, as well as results pulled from a user's own data, including notes, text messages, emails, contacts, calendar appointments, and reminders. Siri will be smarter too. In the interface planned by Apple, you can ask it for times you're available for appointments before scheduling something and for overlapping events. You could also ask the assistant to write emails, notes, or text messages using information from the web and device content. That could include asking for a note to be created about how to fix a car engine or an email including your calendar availability. So I think that's going to be a massive deal for this new Siri. We've been waiting on personal context for so long now. So the fact that's coming, I think is a huge deal. And then we also see that there's going to be a big change to the camera application, not just with Apple Intelligence, but also with widgets. You can basically customize the camera app. So you can see here, there is going to be a dedicated Siri mode in the camera application. This is going to replace the current visual intelligence experience for scanning items in the real world to get more information on them. Now you basically just have to press on that side button to do that. It's going to be replaced now. It's going to be in the camera app only, which is nice. But most importantly, there's going to be customizable widgets in the camera application. So you can choose which toggles you want to be up top, like timers, night mode, flash. You can really change what you want to be up there. The Photos app will also get new AI features called reframe and extend. So reframe lets you change the perspective of a photo, and extend, this is going to be the most important one. This uses AI to generate and extend parts of an image. So basically, it's going to fix the cleanup feature. It looks like from the mockup that cleanup is still going to be there, but if you want to take it further, you can use this to generate, parts of an image that weren't there before. Kind of like what we've seen for a while now on other, platforms like on Android. He also shows a mock-up of the grammar checker. So this is going to be one of the AI-powered writing features for iOS 27. So part of the writing tools kind of 2.0. And Mark Gurman also said that iOS 27 is going to have a revamped AirPods settings menu, improved Genmoji and image playground quality. And of course, we also have the AI-powered shortcuts where you can basically just put in a prompt or say what you want to be created, and the Shortcuts app will make it for you. So yeah, this was a massive report by Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. And of course, we will see the official design and the official unveiling on June 8th at WWDC, but expected to look somewhat similar to this. Of course, Apple's is going to look better. This is just, a mock-up, a recreation of it, but expect that. And of course, a lot more features and bug fixes as well with this update. Now, this also goes kind of hand in hand with iOS 27 because we also saw this week that Apple is preparing a new Gen AI website because they quietly registered the subdomain genai.apple.com. Now, the page is not currently live yet. If you go there, it doesn't show anything. thing, but expect that to change after the Worldwide Developers Conference when Apple actually unveils, whatever they're going to put on this page. But it basically confirms at this point what we've been talking about for a long time now, that Apple is absolutely going all in on Gen AI with iOS 27 and here in 2026. That's why I think this WWDC is going to be more important than last year's, where they made some promises, but nothing actually panned out. This time, it's going to be more of, what we're expecting and what we've been wanting for years now. Now, this week, we also saw a new look at the iPhone 18 Pro colors in some new dummy units. So you could see here, these were posted by Sonny Dixon, and it shows the iPhone 18 Pro Max in the new color. So we have light blue, black, silver, and dark cherry. So Dixon said this, he said that cherry will probably be the next hit. Orange did very well. So of course, Cosmic Orange was the big color for the 17 Pro series, and now we're going to have that dark cherry, which is, I've been waiting on a red Pro forever now. We've heard that leaked for like 4 years. So it's finally going to be coming here, it looks like, with the iPhone 18 Pros, and I cannot wait. And you might be wondering about that camera system in the iPhone 18 Pros. We just got a new report this week from Ming-Chi Kuo that details just how expensive the new camera system in the Pros are this year. It's actually going to be 50% more expensive. And again, this comes from Ming-Chi Kuo, who says the iPhone 18 Pro Max's all-new variable aperture lens will cost Apple 50% more than the current camera system in the current model right now, the 17 Pro Max. But let's talk about the other phone coming later this year, and that is the iPhone Fold, or the iPhone Ultra, whatever it ends up being called. And it's been hitting so many production snags, and it looks like we have yet another one. Now, don't panic. I've seen some people out there saying like, oh, it's not going to be coming this year because of these delays. No, the iPhone Fold, the iPhone Ultra is still on track for a 2026 release. It's just looking like more and more, it's looking like it's not actually going to come in September. It's not going to be released in September. It will be announced, but it's looking like it's actually going to be released later than the 18 Pro and Pro Max. So this new report comes from Fixed Focus Digital over on Weibo, and he's saying that the foldable iPhone is hitting surface mount technology yield problems, or SMT problems, at the pre-assembly stage. And this comes just a week after we heard about the hinge consistently failing under high frequency use. That was another issue that kind of pushed it back. We talked about that last week. So that's interesting. And DigiTimes already said back in April that production was already 1 to 2 months behind schedule. And if it was 1 to 2 months back then, that already puts us at around November. But again, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman did just recently say that a fall 2026 launch is still on track and mass production is set for July. So yeah, if I had to guess, I would think that Apple would release this foldable around the November timeframe. That would be kind of the month I would gauge that we would see that, as long as they could actually get over these hurdles in production. And we also got a first look at what a case might look like on the iPhone Ultra, the foldable iPhone. And well, it doesn't look great. But you can see here from accessory maker iFun Smart, they're showing a protective case for the foldable iPhone, which is built from leaked CAD files and dummy units. And keep in mind, case manufacturers pretty much always have, spot on measurements. So this is probably what the case is actually going to look like on the foldable iPhone. So I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I'm not putting a case on that phone. I know it's expensive, but it looks so much better without it. Okay, so now let's talk about the Apple car and what could have been, because just this week we saw Ferrari unveil their $640,000 Luce. So this is an EV that was co-designed by Johnny Ive. And that's kind of why we think it's what Apple car could have been, like especially the interior components. If you take a look, it's pretty crazy. So the Luce is Ferrari's first ever fully electric car, and it was designed by Johnny Ive and Mark Newson at their collective creation Love From. And this thing's actually pretty crazy. So it does have 4 electric motors, over 1,000 horsepower, and it goes 0 to 62 in just 2.5 seconds. But that price tag is insane, $640K, and production begins in late 2026. I don't know. What do you guys think about the design of this Luce? It's very controversial right now, especially being an EV, especially being that high of a price tag and with a look like that. I don't know, pretty crazy, but I do love the interior, and this looks like, again, what the Apple car could have been, especially with all the analog controls. Everything just looks so refined and so cool inside. And I've had people ask me lately if Apple's still releasing their Apple car, and keep in mind, back in 2024, I reported on this as well, but we heard that Apple has officially nixed that. So it's not coming. Apple canceled that project in 2024, and at this point, it looks like Apple's never going to make a car, at least no time soon. Definitely not in the decade. Okay, so on the topic of cars, let's talk about CarPlay and Rivian. That's been two that have not really meshed together very well over the past couple of years because, as we know, Rivian, the CEO, and they basically confirmed that they're never going to put CarPlay in their cars, and a lot of people were really mad at that, but it seems like the tides are kind of shifting now. And I say that because Rivian's software chief was recently on The Verge's Decoder podcast, and he explained why they still refuse to add CarPlay. And he said that deep AI integration will eventually replace CarPlay entirely through agentic in-car experiences. And there's also a wild stat that he threw out there. He said 5 years ago, 70% of Rivian customers wanted CarPlay. Now, he says that number is apparently less than 25%. So yeah, it seems like everybody was against Rivian for a while, but now people appear to be on board with not necessarily wanting or needing CarPlay in the Rivian for this agentic AI experience that's coming. So pretty interesting. If you have a Rivian, let me know. Or if you have any car without CarPlay, let me know. Do you care if you have CarPlay in your car these days or not? Or is it increasingly getting, less of a must? Like you don't need it as much as you used to. Let me know what you think. Okay, so let's go over to our phone because we need to talk about Instagram, Meta, and WhatsApp. So the whole Meta suite, because there's a new line of subscriptions you can buy. I know we have subscription fatigue at this point, but there's some pretty cool features you could actually get for this. So basically Meta, launched some paid plans worldwide. So you can get Instagram Plus for $4 a month, Facebook Plus for $4 a month, and WhatsApp Plus for $3 a month. So this is on top of paying for verification, by the way. If you pay for, Meta Verified, this is an additional subscription on top of that. But there are quite a few new features that you get. So, Instagram Plus gets this. There's a lot of them. So you can see how many people have rewatched a story, unlimited audience lists for stories. So you can basically have more than just close friends. You can spotlight a story once a week for more views. You can super heart somebody's story. There's a custom app icon, custom fonts in the bio. Stories can last more than 24 hours. You could search a story viewer list to see if a specific person viewed that story. And most importantly, I think it's going to be the main reason people subscribe to this, there's going to be a way to preview Instagram stories without showing up as a viewer. So basically, you'll be able to view somebody's story and they will never know that you actually saw it. It's like a stealth view of an Instagram story. So you get all those features for $4 a month. And there's also other like AI plans and creator plans and things like that, but that is the main Instagram Plus that you will be able to subscribe to soon with quite a few new features. So yeah, the whole free social media era is pretty much officially done. It's kind of been done, but this is just another example of that. Now we should also talk about YouTube because we also got some news about YouTube this week where YouTube's going to automatically label AI videos even when creators don't check that box that says made with AI. So YouTube is rolling out automatic AI detection where videos with quote significant photorealistic AI use will get labeled whether the creator discloses it or not. And this is going to appear below the video player on long form and as an overlay on shorts. Now let's talk about iOS 26.6 because we did just see the very first beta for iOS 26.6 go out this week. And it was a very minor update. That's of course why I did not even make a video because there really wasn't much to talk about with it at all. So, this is 26.6 beta 1. That is the build number right there. And really nothing has changed visually that you could see. However, there are a couple of changes on the back end that I wanted to discuss. And the first one has to do with blocked contacts. If you're somebody who blocks a lot of people, you might be satisfied to know that with iOS 26.6, you'll be able to block 20,000 people. So there's apparently a maximum now for block contacts and it's 20,000. So I don't know who out there is blocking 20,000 people, but that is a new change with 26.6. But I think the most interesting change in iOS 26.6 beta 1, at least on the back end, is this one right here because it looks like Apple is developing an anti-snatching feature that locks your iPhone once it gets stolen. So apparently Apple is working on a feature that uses the gyroscope, the accelerometer, and Apple Watch to detect when your iPhone gets stolen, when it gets snatched out of your hands or your pockets. And the moment that it's grabbed, the iPhone instantly locks and activates stolen device protection, preventing access to passwords, banking apps, and sensitive data. And this is similar to what Android already has with the theft detection lock. So it looks like Apple is kind of copying that feature, which I love. But the fact that it's going to know basically when your phone gets snatched is awesome. So I think that's a really cool feature that's coming in 26.6. Now there's nothing, that you could actually see in here. Like I went through all the settings to see if there was something in there, for that, like in the privacy and security section and also down here in stolen device protection, but there is nothing in there. That's just on the back end and it looks like Apple is actively working on that now. Now, as far as the performance and the battery life goes on 26.6 beta 1, it's pretty much exactly the same as iOS 26.5. I'm not really seeing any difference and I would not expect any difference at this stage in the iOS 26 life cycle. identical. So I feel like a broken record saying that, but I don't want to lead you guys and make you think that something major has changed when it really has not. So yeah, nothing going on there, but let's talk about what to expect next, because we are going to see some big changes pretty soon. So next up is going to be potentially iOS 26.5.1. So we heard for a while now, for the past week or so, that we are going to see a 26.5.1. So we could see that as early as next week, or it could be the following week after we see iOS 27 beta 1 get released, which, by the way, iOS 27 beta 1 and WWDC day 1 is on Monday, June 8th. So just about a week away. That's crazy. I cannot wait. And again, I will be there in person, so I cannot wait to cover that for you guys in person there. But yeah, so 27 beta 1 will be on the 8th there. And then honestly, nothing else even matters at that point. I think pretty much all eyes are going to be on iOS 27, and kind of the hype for iOS 26 will completely nosedive. So yeah, that's what to expect next. 26.5.1 is just going to be a minor update, security fixes, bug fixes, things like that. The big changes are going to come right here on the 8th with iOS 27 beta 1. And then finally, we have another crazy AirTag story. So this time in Pennsylvania, a woman woke up around 4 a.m. after hearing a noise inside her home. Now, when she opened her eyes, she saw somebody quietly getting up from the other side of her bed before leaving the room. A few moments later, she spotted a shadowy figure near her living room window and watched as the person climbed out and disappeared. She reported the incident to police, and investigators later determined that the intruder had broken into the home looking for cigarettes, money, and other items he could steal. Now, according to the police, the man also SA'd the woman while she was asleep. The next day, as she was going through the house, she realized that $2 and an Apple AirTag were missing. Now, stealing the cash probably isn't going to matter much, but this fool literally stole an AirTag. So the woman did the most logical thing and opened up the Find My application and could see that the AirTag was still pinging from another part of the city, because this idiot still had the AirTag on him. So she gave the location to the police, who tracked the signal to an area near several homeless encampments. So officers searched the area and eventually found a 29-year-old named Charles walking near some train tracks. And of course, at first, he denied stealing anything, but according to investigators, he later admitted to breaking into the home and SAing the woman and stealing the things, the AirTag and the $2. So he was arrested and booked into jail on charges of burglary, indecent assault, and several other charges. But in the end, if it weren't for that stolen AirTag, this lady would have had to live with that horror for the rest of her life. She still will, but at least now she knows who it was, and they're actually doing time for it. But, I guess this is a lesson. This should not be a lesson to literally anybody watching this, but don't steal an AirTag. I mean, that's probably the stupidest thing possible you could do, or really any Apple device, because you could track it. But yeah, I know nobody out there, you guys aren't dumb enough for that, but that is just another case of an idiot stealing something with an AirTag in it. In this case, it was the actual AirTag itself. But anyways, guys, that is it for this week's Apple Weekly. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We have one more left before WWDC, which is so exciting. I know I've been kind of slow on the uploads lately, but those will pick up here soon as iOS 27 comes out and all the other stuff comes out. Hopefully we'll see some products at WWDC as well. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment with your thoughts down below, and I will see you very soon.